Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Children, today we are going to see about the fourth chapter of computer science, that is using Python libraries. Those who have not viewed the previous 3 videos, kindly go through that videos and you can come back to this fourth video. And in the previous videos we have discussed about what is a library, what is a module, and structure of a Python module, importing module in a Python program. In that we have seen about the importing the entire modules and importing the select object from a module. In that we have discussed about import single object, importing the multiple objects, and import all objects of a module. Then finally we have discussed about the Python processing of import module command. In this session we are going to discuss about the Python standard libraries, functions and modules. Python standard library is very extensive that offer many built-in functions that you can use without having to import any libraries. Python standard library is by default available, so you don't need to import it separately. Python standard library also offers, other than the built-in functions, some modules for specialized type of functionalities such as math module for mathematical functions, random module for pseudo-random number generations, and URL-lib for functionalities for adding and using the website addresses from within the program. In this sessions, we shall discuss how you can use the Python built-in functions and import various modules and Python standard libraries. Now let's discuss about Python's built-in functions. The Python's interpreter has a number of functions built into it that are also available. You need not import any modules for them. In other words, the built-in functions are part of the current namespace of the Python interpreter. So you use the built-in functions of Python directly as, let's see the syntax, function underscore name of. Here I have used the underscore because we can't use any white space in between the function name. So instead of white space I have used the underscore. So function name of. In that place of function name we can have our own function name, user defined one. And then let's see some of the example for this built-in functions. And first one is an input of. That input function is used to get the input from the user during the runtime. Next one is int, that is used to convert the integer value. Next one is a float of. Float of is used to, you already know that, you get the decimal number. And type of, the type of function is used to find out the data type of the variable. The next one is an len. Len function is used to find out the length, either length of the string or length of the numeric or whatever it is. Now let's discuss about Python's built-in mathematical functions. Python provides many mathematical built-in functions. You have worked with many mathematical functions of Pythons in your previous chapters. Let us quickly recall those and then we shall talk about the new mathematical functions. First one is len of. That len of function is used to find out the length. Look at the example len of ABC. Here I have passed the string. How we can ensure it is a string is because we had double quotes. So ABC, what about the length total? Length always starts from the index number 1. So total 3. Next one is pow function. Pow is nothing but used to find out the power. Now see the example. Pow of 3, 4. What is the meaning of pow of 3, 4 is 3 to the power 4. So they will multiply 3 for 4 times. 3 into 3 into 3 into 3. It gives us 81. Next one, str of. Str stands for the string. So str of 12. Here I have passed the 12 as an integer value. It has to convert into string. So it will be giving you 12 within the single quotes. So now the 12 has converted as a string data type. Next one is int of. It used to convert as an integer. So look at the example int 12. I have passed 12 within double quotes. It means that here the 12 is a string because we passed within the double quotes. And it will give the output as simply 12. That is that string has converted into integer data type. What about the next one? Float of. Float of 12.2. Here I have passed the 12.2 within the quotes. So it means that I am passing 12.2 as a string. That float of function has to convert it as a float value. So it will give 12.2. Now it become the floating type. Next one, range. Range of 3. So it will give 0, 1, 2. Next one, type of. Type of function will use to give the data type of the variable. Here I have passed type 12. So 12 is an integer data type. So we'll be getting the output as class int. Let us now talk about some more built-in mathematical functions. Some useful built-in mathematical functions here I have shown in the form of tabular column. First, let's discuss about the ABS of. ABS of x here I have used. X is a variable. So ABS stands for the absolute value. That ABS takes an integer or a floating point number as an argument and return the absolute value of the number. Here x is an argument. Let's see this one with that example so that it will be clear for you. ABS of minus 12. So it will give you the 12. So what the absolute value used to do was it used to ignore the sign. That is either it is positive or negative. It used to give the positive number. So now you may raise the questions, what happened in case of the floating number? For that also I have given example, ABS of minus 12.4. So it used to, we know that it used to ignore the sign. So what is the sign here? Negative. So minus will go off and it will be giving the output as 12.4. And next one, suppose if you pass the floating number as a positive value, then what will happen? For that I have given another example, ABS of 12.4. That will also will return as 12.4. Our next mathematical function is div mod. Div mod of a comma b. Here we have to pass two arguments. What it used to do was it used to take two non-complex numbers as arguments and return a pair of number consisting of the quotient and remainder. So we know that what is a non-complex number? Complex number is nothing but the number which is coming along with the imaginary part. Here we cannot pass any complex numbers. We have to pass only the non-complex numbers. So we have to pass two arguments. Now see the example, it will be clear for you. Div mod of 7, 2. So two arguments we have to pass. So what is used to do is it used to divide the first number by the second number, and in the output first number will be the quotient and second argument will be the remainder. So if you divide 7 by 2, we'll be getting the quotient as 3 and we'll be having the remainder as 1. And now you may have a doubt in case of floating number, what will happen? For that I have given the second example. Div mod of 7.25, 25. So the same process will be doing for floating data type also. It used to divide 7.25 by 2.5. So that time we'll be getting quotient as 2.0 and again remainder as 2.25. Now the third function is sum of function. Here we'll be having two syntax, sum with only one argument and sum with two arguments. If you are having only one argument, that is an iterable. If you are having two arguments, first one is an iterable and second one is an argument. What this sum of function will use to do is it used to return the sum of the items of an iterable from left to right and return the total. With two arguments, iterables and argument, it returns the sum of the items of iterable and arguments values. Now let's discuss about with the example. See the first example, sum of 3, 5, 3. So it used to find out the total of all the numbers from left to right. So 3 plus 5 plus 3, that will give you the output as 11. And second one, same example, have passed only the two arguments, but the thing is that here I have passed the floating value. So sum of 2.5, 5.5, that will return the total of the, that is sum value of the arguments. And look at the next one. Here we have passed two arguments. The first argument is a list. sum of 2, 3, 4, that is the first argument, that is in the form of list. We can ensure that it is a list with the help of the square bracket, and the second argument is 5. So even if you are passing one argument as a list, another one as a normal variable, it used to add all the numbers. So 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, that will give you the 14. Next one, the same thing, first argument we have passed as a list, and in the second value we have passed the floating value. So in that case also it will be adding all the numbers and it will be giving you the result. So 2, 3, 4, that we passed as a list, and the second argument we have passed as a floating value. So 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 8.3, that will give you the 17.3. And next one is a max of function. Here also we will be having two syntax. First one, max of only one argument, and second one is max of multiple arguments. There in some will be, we can have either one argument and two argument. Here we can have n number of arguments. So what is this max function will use to return is, returns the largest item in the sequence or the largest of two or more arguments. If one positional argument is provided, it should be an iterable. The largest item in the iterable is returned. See the example, max of 3, 5. It will give you the maximum value of 3, 5. So obviously it is 5. Next one, max of 3, 5, 9, 7. Here we passed two arguments. Both the arguments of in the form of list. So what will happen in case of if we pass more than one argument is, it used to compare the first variable of the first argument, that is here we pass 3, 5, 9. What is the first variable of this list is 3, and the first variable of the next list is 7. It used to compare 3 and 7, which is a maximum value 7. So that will return. In that output we can able to see the square bracket because both the arguments of in the form of list, so we'll be giving the output also in the form of list. See the next example. In first argument we have passed in the form of tuple. So how can we find out it is a tuple? We are having the normal bracket 3, 5, 9, 10 as a first argument, and second argument is 7. So what it used to do is, it used to compare the first element of the first tuple 3 and first element of the second tuple, that is 7. So which is the greater one? 7. So listen this output. The maximum value is 7, that we know that, but the 7 they have given the output in the form of tuple because both the argument of tuple, so the output is also in the form of tuple. Next example, maximum of 3, 5, 7, 10. So here we will be passing only one format. So which is a maximum value? 10. So that will be giving us an output. Now let's discuss about the next mathematical function, that is min-of function. Here we'll be having two syntax. Similarly for max of function, min of iterable, that is we can pass only one argument with the min function, or we can pass n arguments with the min function. That is argument 1, argument 2, likewise it will be going on. And this function used to return the smallest item in a sequence or the smallest of two or more arguments. Let me explain with this example. Min of 3, 5. Here we have passed only one argument. What is the minimum value is 3. So that will be written as an output. Next we have passed as min of two arguments. In that both the arguments are in the form of list. So in the first argument 3, 5, 9 and second one is 7. So when we are having more than one argument and in both of the format of list, it used to compare the first element of the first list with the first element of the second list. Here what is the value of first element in the first list is 3 and first element in the second list is 7. So 3 will be compared with the 7. Which one is the minimum value? 3. So that list will be coming out as an output. And second one, same example. Here instead of list I have passed the arguments as an tuple. So here we are having two tuples, and first tuple will be having 4 elements and second tuple will be having 1 element. Irrespective of the number of elements in the list or tuple, it used to compare the first element of the first list or tuple with the first element of the second argument. So when compared with 3 with 7, likewise our previous example, and here 3 is the smallest number, so that tuple will be returned as an output. And next one, we have passed only one argument, min of 3, 5, 7, 10, which is a minimum value 3. That will be returned as an output. And next one is an octof and hexof function. So oct, by seeing this you can find out it is to find out it is used to convert the octal number. Hexof is used to convert the hexadecimal number. So return the octal string for given numbers, and hexof functions return the hexadecimal value for the given number. See the example, n is equal to 24. I have passed the value 24 to the variable n. So next what I am using to do is OCT of n, that is oct of n. I am going to convert the 24 into the octal number. So I will be receiving the octal equivalent number for the 24, that is 0030. Next one, for the same number, I am going to convert the 24 to hexadecimal number. So hex of n, we will be returning the hexadecimal value for the given n, that is 24. And by this time, please note that octof or hexadecimal of or bin of stands for the binary number. Do not return any number, they return a string representations of the converted number. So now we are going to see the another built-in mathematical function, that is round off function. The round off function will be having two type of syntax in round off. The first one, round with only one argument, that used to round off the given number to the nearest integer. Second one is we can have the round off function with two arguments. The first one is a given number, second one is a number of digits that we are going to have after the decimal point. Let me explain this one with the example program so that it is easy for you to understand. What is the program here is, write a program that input a real number and convert it to the nearest integer using two different built-in functions. It also convert the given number rounded off to 3 decimal after the 3 places after the decimal. Okay, and see the example, num is a variable, float, input, enter a real number. The variable num will use to store the floating point value. That value will be given by the user. Okay. Next one, in tnum, in the variable tnum equal to int of number. So the given number value will be converted into the integer value that will be stored in a variable of tnum. Next one, rnum is a variable. So in that variable we are going to have the round off number. So the given number will be rounded off to the nearest integer and will saved in rnum. Next we will be having print statement. Just leave the statement that we have discussed with the output. Next, rnum2 equal to round off num comma 3. So what this function used to do, it used to take the given number and it used to rounded off the given number with the 3 decimal places. That is, after the point it used to have only 3 decimal places. Then we will be having another print statement. So this we will be discussing again with the output screen. And this will be the output for the previous program in the previous slide. So according to our program, we have to give one floating point real number as an input for the program. Then it has to convert the given number into two ways. Either it has to convert to the nearest integer, and the second one is it has to rounded off the given number into the 3 decimal places. In first case, nearest integer 5.55562, the nearest integer for this given input is either 5 or 6. And what about the second case? It has to round off function used to rounded off the given number to the nearest integer. Then round off number comma 3, that statement will rounded off the number to the 3 decimal places. So in our program, if it is rounded off to 3 decimal places, it will be coming out 5.556. Thank you children. Stay safe.